Morning all you happy hikers. Hope you're having a wonderful day. This is going to be the inaugural video of my Gear Geek reviews. And since this will be the first gear review, I figured I'd hone in on one of my favorite pieces, the Tilley hiker hat. And spoiler alert, since I've already indicated this is one of my favorite pieces, this is probably going to be a pretty positive review. So let's just get into it, shall we? Welcome to my Hikification, Gear Geek Edition. So before we get into the hat itself, maybe a little bit about Tilley hats in general. Tilley is a proud Canadian company. It was actually started in 1980 or so by Alex Tilley, who was a sailor. And he couldn't find a good hat, so he took it upon himself to develop one. And he had a couple key criteria. It had to float, be unsinkable. Had to be long lasting, had to look good, and it had to fit well. And so from there, he eventually started the Tilley Hat Company in Toronto. And 35 plus years later, they're going strong. So a few details on this particular hat. This is the hiker hat, the TM04. It's part of their broad brim collection. You can tell by how wide it is. And also the airflow. The airflow is a 3/4 mesh insert, which allows for air circulation. It also comes with the air cool technology. The fabric is 90% organic cotton, and they have the what they call a rain resistant coating. They come in 4 colors. This is the tan. It also comes in charcoal, kind of a greenish one, as well as a brown. The brim is 3.5 inches at the front and the back, 2.5 inches at the side, and all told it weighs 3.8 grams. It comes with both a front and a back fastener. They are guaranteed for life. They're supposed to float. And they're not cheap. They cost about $100 Canadian or so. So you are investing in a premium hat. Okay, so as I've already indicated, I'm a pretty big fan. But is it the perfect hiking hat? That's gonna depend. The hat's really comfortable. It's lightweight on your head, and I actually rarely notice that you're actually wearing it. When you're buying one of these hats, it's different than a baseball cap. And so you do want to be careful on your sizing. You go to the Tilley website, there are instructions. Ooh, mosquitoes. You do want to be careful on sizing. You go to the Tilley website, there are instructions on how to get the right size. But the big thing is, you want to give a finger between your forehead and the hat, so it doesn't fit tight like a baseball cap. You wear it down a little bit lower, and it stays a little bit looser. I went with the tan color, which on a through hike especially gets dirty pretty quickly. The benefit is it is machine washable. They say the hat's foldable, and I did fold it away in the backpack quite often. I did find when you did that, it took a while to get the brim reshaped the way I liked it. So it didn't kind of just form right back into place. It took some manhandling and gradually getting it there. You can see it's got a back wind cord, which is a little like those old sheriff hats you see. And that, for the most part, when you tighten it up, was sufficient, and more than sufficient, in fact I barely used it, to keep the hat on in normal conditions. The front wind cord is when it gets a little bit more blustery, just to prevent it if it does blow off from blowing off. That said, when it gets really windy, this is not the hat for you. The wide brim is almost like a sail. And you may recall times in the Smokies where I literally was biting down on the cord to keep it from flying away. A number of my videos were taken with the hat like that because the wind just kept blowing it off. One thing I absolutely loved was this little hook here in the back. And what that allowed me to do was I took a carabiner and I hooked it onto the strap of my backpack. And so the hat could be easily accessible, but also not in the way when I didn't want to wear it. And I didn't have to crumple it up in the bag all the time. That's just a great feature and attention to detail. In terms of the airflow, I found the hat did a pretty good job at keeping your head cool. I mean, when it's hot, you're going to be hot, but the mesh does help. And whether the air cool technology with that little pad does anything, or whether that's more of a gimmick, I'm not sure. The concept is, because it's wet, as it evaporates the water pulls the heat off your head and then hence cools you off. I didn't really have a chance to use that though. Now they do say it's made from a water repellent material. And I found if there was a little rain, a little sprinkle, it worked really well at keeping the water off you. However, when it really started to rain, I mean, it is cotton, it's got a mesh in the top, you get wet. So when it really started to rain, I would actually put it away and use, well, a rain hood. The other thing just to note, for those that use your phone, when it really starts to rain and you look down at your phone and you stop, check a Facebook message or what have you, all the water kind of pools from the top, and I found it dripped right on the phone. And so I was constantly trying to keep the phone really close to be able to use it It just kind of pulled out. Now the main purpose for me, I love the wide brim. I'm pretty pale, and even in the forest, sun protection was important to me. And so the wide brim really gave some nice coverage. Now that said, if you've got a big backpack with a high brain, and I found it even with my Z-Pack Arc Haul, if it had a big food bag, the back of the brim would hit the back of the backpack. And so just something to be cognizant of, especially if you have one of those ospreys or the like where the brain does go pretty high. You kind of have to fold the back of the hat. More of an annoyance factor than anything else. This hat is not cheap, it's an investment. But with that you get good quality. It does have the lifetime warranty. The other thing I like, and probably not relevant to the 87.8% of my viewers who live in the US, but it's a good Canadian company. And we do like to support our local companies. Last thing I want to talk about, which may be important to some, perhaps less important to others, is the aesthetics. I personally consider the hat a good looking hat. Granted, it does have a wide brim, but it's a good looking hat in terms of hiking. When you've got a plaid collared shirt, it's probably not a hat you're going to wear around an urban environment. Doesn't really fit with the sports apparel. Formal wear, not so much. Even in something like sailing, you're not going to blend quite as much. You want more of a medium brim for that. But if you're out on the trail, I can think of nothing better. So I think it's a great hiking hat. Is it right for a through hike? I'm going to say it was right for a through hike for me. And the reason I'm going to put that disclaimer in is because the primary purpose I used it for was really to get that sun protection. On the Appalachian Trail specifically, where you are in the green tunnel more, you don't have quite as much sun exposure unless you're very fair-skinned like me. A wider brim hat may not be quite as necessary, and the bulk of it may actually be more of a deterrent than a benefit. On trails such as the PCT, though, I could see this being very applicable. I personally loved it, but I know most will probably gravitate to a baseball cap with a rain hood when it starts to rain. There are cheaper hats out there, but I do think you get what you pay for. So I'm going to put a strong recommendation with a few minor cons. So where we go, my first gear review. And granted, I don't have the credibility of a thru hiker, but I did get a few miles on it. So there you go. Till next time, hike on.